It happened again last night. You had the porch light on, the back door propped open just long enough to carry something inside, and within seconds something large slammed into the kitchen window, bounced off the glass, and dropped onto the sill, legs splayed out in 6 different directions at once. Your stomach dropped with it. A mosquito the size of your palm, you thought, something engorged and monstrous that had somehow found its way inside on a summer evening. Your hand was already reaching for a rolled magazine, shoe, anything within striking distance, every instinct screaming bloodsucker. Stop. Look at it again, closer this time, before that shoe comes down. Because the long-legged creature currently stumbling drunkenly across your windowsill, crashing into the lamp, bouncing off the same pane of glass for the 3rd time in a row, cannot bite you. It has no interest in your blood. It may not have eaten a single thing since the day it was born. And in the few days of life it has left, all it is actually trying to do, badly, clumsily, in full view of you and your rolled-up magazine, is fall in love. Let's start with the bite, because that is the fear that gets every single one of these animals killed, and it is built on a complete misunderstanding of basic anatomy. The creature on your windowsill is a crane fly, a member of the family Tipulidae, and despite the long legs and the mosquito-like silhouette that triggers an immediate panic response in almost everyone who sees one, it does not possess the biting mouthparts that make a mosquito dangerous. A female mosquito has needle-like stylets specifically adapted to pierce skin and draw blood. A crane fly has none of this. Many adult crane fly species have mouthparts so reduced and so poorly developed that they are physically incapable of feeding on anything at all, let alone you. The ones that can feed are typically limited to sipping nectar or water, occasionally, almost as an afterthought. The nickname people use without realizing how wrong it is, mosquito hawk, suggesting this animal hunts and eats mosquitoes, is equally false. A crane fly has no predatory equipment, no interest in chasing prey, and absolutely no capacity to hunt anything mid-flight. It cannot bite you, it does not want your blood, and it is not protecting you from mosquitoes. It is, in nearly every meaningful sense, one of the most harmless animals that will ever cross your threshold. So why does it fly the way it does, that frantic, lurching, wall-bouncing flight pattern that makes it seem unpredictable and faintly threatening? Because the adult crane fly is, biologically speaking, running out the clock. Most species live for only a handful of days once they emerge as adults, sometimes less than a week, occasionally barely more than 48 hours. There is no time in that window for anything except one task. Mating. The female needs to find a male, mate, and deposit her eggs, sometimes as many as 300 of them, directly into moist soil, before her body simply runs out of the energy reserve she carried over from the larval stage she spent months building. She is not hunting you. She is not exploring your home with curiosity. She is searching, urgently and with very little flight control to spare, for another crane fly, anywhere, before her time runs out completely. The clumsy, panicked flight that triggers your fear response is not aggression. It is closer to desperation. A short, final, uncoordinated search for connection, conducted in a body that was never built for long-term survival to begin with, frequently ending with her crashing repeatedly into the one light source in the room that looks, to her dwindling senses, like an opening to the night sky she is running out of time to find. I remember the first time I watched a crane fly up close, really close, after years of swatting them away without a second thought, and noticing for the first time how genuinely fragile the whole animal is. The legs are so thin they detach if you so much as brush against one, a defense mechanism, not unlike a lizard's tail, that lets the animal escape a grip by simply leaving a limb behind. The body is soft, almost weightless, built from the kind of structural compromise that prioritizes speed of development over any form of durability. Let that settle for a moment. The creature your entire household has spent years treating as a threat worth striking down is, physically, one of the most defenseless animals you will ever hold a shoe over. It cannot bite you. It can barely fly in a straight line. And it is doing all of this while being actively hunted by nearly everything around it. Birds take them mid-air without hesitation. Spiders consider a crane fly walking into a web an easy, low-risk meal. Cats treat them as a moving toy with almost no fight left in it. The crane fly bouncing off your window is not the predator in this story by any measure. It is, overwhelmingly, the prey. But the adult you are looking at, fragile, short-lived, and entirely focused on one final act of reproduction, is only the last few days of a much longer and far more useful story, and that story happened entirely out of sight, underground, for months before this moment. Crane fly larvae, known to gardeners and turf specialists as leatherjackets for the tough, leathery texture of their skin, live in damp soil and decaying organic matter for weeks to nearly a year depending on the species and the climate. During that entire period, they are doing exactly what an earthworm does in the same soil, consuming dead plant material, breaking down fallen leaves, decomposing rotting roots and fungal matter, and in the process aerating the soil and returning usable nutrients to it as they move and feed. Research examining soil with active leatherjacket populations has documented measurable increases in available nitrogen compared to soil without them, a direct result of this larval decomposition work happening continuously beneath the surface of your lawn and garden beds. The clumsy adult crashing into your window spent the vast majority of its actual life as an effective, anonymous soil engineer, and it will die within days having contributed nothing further except the next generation of larvae to continue that same underground work. And there is something else, something almost no one connects to the crane fly until it is explained directly. If you notice an unusually large number of these animals appearing around your home in late summer, clustering near porch lights, accumulating on screens in numbers that feel excessive, it is rarely a random infestation. Crane flies require consistently moist soil to lay viable eggs and to support larval development, and a sudden abundance of adults emerging from your lawn is frequently a direct signal of excess moisture, poor drainage, or an overwatered section of turf somewhere on the property. The crane fly is not causing a problem. It is reporting one, in the same way an unusual cluster of any moisture-dependent insect reports a hidden condition in the soil that you might otherwise never notice until it became a larger issue, a damp foundation, a drainage failure, a watering system running longer than it should. There is one more scene in this story worth slowing down for, and it happens at the exact moment a female finally succeeds in what she has been so clumsily attempting. After mating, she does not waste what little time remains. Within hours, sometimes immediately, she lands on damp soil, in a lawn, at the edge of a flower bed, anywhere the ground stays consistently moist, and begins depositing her eggs directly into the earth using a pointed abdomen perfectly shaped for the task, a structure that, ironically, looks sharp enough to be mistaken for a stinger and contributes to yet another layer of unwarranted fear. She has no stinger. She has no venom. What she has is a single biological deadline and an abdomen built specifically to meet it, pressing egg after egg into soil that, if conditions are right, will become a nursery for the next generation of leatherjackets within 2 weeks. She will not live to see a single one of them hatch. Her entire adult existence, every clumsy flight, every collision with your window, every moment you spent recoiling from her, was spent in service of this one final action, completed quietly in the grass while you were almost certainly not watching, and then she is gone, her job, in the only sense that mattered to her biology, entirely finished. It is worth clearing up one final point of confusion, because the crane fly carries an unusually large number of misleading nicknames for an animal this harmless. Mosquito hawk implies a predator it has never been. Gallinipper suggests a bite it cannot deliver. And in some regions it is casually lumped together with daddy longlegs, a name properly belonging to an entirely different animal, the cellar spider, which is not an insect at all and has its own separate case of mistaken identity. The crane fly is simply Tipulidea, a fly, full stop, with an adult life so brief and so singularly focused on reproduction that nature seems to have skipped the budget for a working set of jaws entirely. Every alarming name it has accumulated says more about human pattern recognition under panic than it does about the animal itself. So the next time something large, long-legged, and clumsy slams into your window on a summer evening, put the shoe down. Open a door or a window instead and let the air currents do the work. A gentle redirection toward the nearest exit is all it actually needs, since it has neither the speed nor the coordination to evade a calm, slow-moving hand cupped loosely around it. It is not hunting you. It is not related to the mosquitoes biting your ankles on the porch. It has, in all likelihood, already lived the most productive part of its entire existence underground, out of sight, and it has only a handful of days left to do the one thing its short adult life was built for. Let it look for it somewhere other than the inside of a rolled-up magazine. Have you ever found one of these long-legged flyers bouncing around a window or a porch light and wondered what it actually was? Tell me about it in the comments below. I read every single one, and the stories people share about late summer evenings on the porch are some of my favorites this community sends me. And if you want to understand another creature whose entire adult life is a short, desperate race against time, one that is almost certainly active in your yard right now without you noticing, the next video is already waiting for you.